Hey, Epic Online students. It's great to see you. Somewhat see you again. If you've been following along as we've been posting stuff throughout the week, then you already have an idea of what we're talking about in this series. If not, this is a good chance to go. We posted a video on Friday and on Saturday, so make sure you check that out. We've been talking about who your favorite villains were, and in my case, my favorite villain was Darth Vader. We also talked about some of the enemies that you guys have had or run into, or my experience with enemies in my life. But for today, we're gonna look at that stuff, but we're also gonna pick up where we were in the story of Moses and finish out this series, because Moses is this person that is filled with so many mistakes. I mean, let's be honest, a lot of mistakes. But he also has so many miracles and he has so many great things that he does as a leader through God. And so where we're picking up today, we're going to jump right into it. He has been guiding the Israelites through the desert for years and years and years at this point. Through God, he has helped provide them with manna, with quail. He has helped them defeat their enemies. They have been going strong for so long in this desert. And as they're going along in this desert, man, they have so many things that are coming up, but Moses is leading and guiding. He looks completely different than the person he was when we first started our series. Where we pick up in our story is Numbers 21, 4 through 9. If you want to read the whole thing, check it out. But I'm just going to read a little section here because here's what happens. They're going through the desert and these people approach Moses. And they start saying, we don't need to follow you or God. You have led us astray. We don't want to follow your leadership, Moses. We don't want to follow your leadership, God. We are done with you completely. They are, in essence, creating this whole revolt against Moses, turning against Moses as he has led them countless years through the desert, and suddenly these people are turning against him. And in verse 6, it says this: So the Lord sent poisonous snakes among the people, and many were bitten and died. It's really good when the Lord has your back. In this case, Moses didn't need to do anything. God's like, don't worry, I got this, Moses. Then the people came to Moses and cried out, we have sinned by speaking against the Lord and against you. Pray that the Lord will take away the snakes. So Moses prayed for the people. Then the Lord told him, make a replica of a poisonous snake and attach it to a pole. All who are bitten will live if they simply look at it. So Moses made a snake out of bronze and attached it to a pole. Then anyone who was bitten by a snake could look at the bronze snake and be healed. But I want you to think for a second. Moses is leading these people. I mean, this is stressful. This has not been a couple of days. This is years and years of having to help provide food, dealing with complaints, dealing with people attacking him, and leading these people safely through the desert. And what do they do with his leadership? They turn against him. They turn against the same guy that decades earlier, we talked about at the very beginning, tried to take matters into his own hands and murdered someone. That's not a person I want to, test the grounds with a little bit. And yet they did. They turned on him. And what is Moses' response in all this? It's a very simple sentence, and yet it's what I want to focus on today. It says, so Moses prayed for the people. He prayed for the people that were turning against him. He interceded for them. Some of you guys, if you've grown up in the church long enough, you've heard this word interceded. You know what I'm talking about. If you don't, it's when you step in the gap, when you step in to intercede on someone's behalf, to help on someone's behalf. It's kind of like if we go to a playground and this little kid comes over and takes the toy that Arya had brought with her. I would then intercede, walk over to the little kid and punch him in the face. Okay, I wouldn't really do that, but I would walk over to the kid and kindly explain how that's her toy and take it and give it back to Arya. Arya couldn't do it herself, and so I would go and step in for her. As Christians, we do this all the time. We intercede on people's behalf. It's why we do things like the Walter Hoving Home. It's why we help feed some of the homeless. It's why we do stuff like doing a mission trip to Mexico to build houses for people. We step in as Christians and set the example to help others where they need help. But we also do it, or should do it, in our prayers. I want to look really quickly today at the people that Moses interceded for and what that means we should be doing in our life. You look at this story and you're like, wow, I can't believe Moses did that. But this is not the first time that Moses has been confronted about his leadership. In fact, in Numbers 12, just several chapters before this, his very own brother and sister, Aaron and Miriam, turn against him. And they start questioning, who put you in charge? Why do we need to follow you? Did God really say you were supposed to be in charge? And they turn against Moses. Now, I mean, I'm sure we've been there before where some of our family, we almost feel like they're turning against us. They're not listening to us. In this case, they are trying to destroy his leadership. And again, God steps in and he strikes them with leprosy. And here's the crazy thing. It says this. Then Aaron said to Moses, "Oh, my Lord, I beg you, do not punish us, because we have been foolish and have sinned. Let her," meaning Miriam, "not be like one of the dead whose flesh is half eaten away when he was born." And Moses cried to the Lord, saying, "Oh God, heal her, I pray." Again, they attack his leadership, and Moses prays for his family. So the first group that I think we should be interceding for is our family. You've seen me mention family a lot, even more normal than I have in EPICC, and I believe it's because for a lot of us, we have different types of families, we have different backgrounds with our families, but in this climate that we're in now, when we are stuck at home, you are around your families so much more. And so you may see all of the best and you may see all of the worst. And it's why I feel like we need to focus on families a little bit more, because we don't know how long this is going to last. God willing, it's over next week. But until then, your family is one of the biggest groups right now that you have the closest proximity to. For some of you guys, interceding and helping out your family is super easy. You and your family love getting together. You guys will all cuddle on the couch and watch a movie. You guys will spend time together. You'll text back and forth, send little emojis. You love hanging out with your family. And then there's some of you guys that your family is all sorts of crazy. Maybe your family isn't a happy setting, or maybe you're like, hey, I wish I knew my family. Some of you guys are part of families that have been split apart. Some of you guys, you might not even know where certain parents are. You may have never even met them. For all of us, our family situations look a lot different. Moses stood in the gap and prayed for his family, even though they had turned against him. This is what I want to challenge you guys with for the first thing today. If you are not, I want you today to start praying for your family. Those that you see every day, those that you may have hurt against, those that you may be upset with, or those that you may not have seen for years and years and years and years. Maybe they walked out of your life and the complete idea of praying for them is just eating you up inside. I want you to start interceding and praying for them. Because when we do, something amazing happens. It starts to do a work within them, and God starts to do a work within us. Maybe for some of you guys, the first thing you need to start praying for is, God, help me to forgive so-and-so for what they did to me. God, help me to move on from this. Help me to let it go. For some of you guys, you know the needs that are in your family, but I challenge you today, start interceding for your family. In your prayer times, just start bringing them up by name. God, wherever they are, I pray that you would be with. I pray that you would show them your love. I pray that you would show them how much you love them, you care for them, and how much they really need you. I pray that they would know that. Moses interceded for his family. And the second group that we have been kind of alluding to in these last couple of videos is our enemies. Now, for some of us, our families is one thing, but the idea of praying for our enemies is so much harder. I'm talking about praying for those that are out to get you, for those that don't like you, and maybe you don't even know why. I'm talking about praying for those friends even who have turned against you over the years, that at one point you were super close, and now it seems like all they do is undercut you and stab you in the back. I'm talking about praying for your enemies. See, it's easy for us to pray or plot revenge for them. God, I pray that you would take Bob and you would show him how much he needs you by getting him into a car accident, maybe knocking him unconscious. Nothing serious, God, but I would call those revenge prayers, not really praying for them. But start praying for your enemies. Even right now, as I said, enemies, you have certain people that you're already seeing their faces. Maybe you've been seeing their faces for a while because you are just seething inside. But I want you to start praying for those enemies. What if you prayed for their needs, the things that they are going through, the things that they're battling with? What if you started praying for them even during this time? I pray that they would know how much you care for them. I pray that they would know your love for them. God, I pray that in the middle of the night they would start crying out to you, especially if you don't know if you know that they don't know God. See, as I said with praying for family, the same thing can happen when we start praying for our enemies. Things change inside. I have had people that I knew in my head were my enemies. I knew that they didn't like me. And I remember one time I just had that image going through my head and God came across and smacked me in the back of the head. Has God ever done that to you? He was like, Josh, pray for them. I'm not going to pray for them. Josh, pray for them. God, I am not going to. Okay. And I started praying for them. And the first couple prayers were like, God, I pray that you be with this person and just, I don't know, God. Like they were like my grumpy, depressed prayers. But as I took time every day to start praying for some of these people, my prayers and my attitudes changed towards them. And at the end, I started seeing them as real people and not my enemies. I started, when I was praying for them sometimes, really starting to feel broken for them because I started to get an idea of what they were going through in life and what pain they were going through. We talked about one of my favorite villains earlier in the week, Darth Vader, and how he, in my head, was just the epitome of evil. But here's the thing. Even for your enemies, we may see them as Darth Vader, but even for your worst enemies, deep inside, all enemies are like little Anakin. Anakin that has been hurt, Anakin that has had family issues, Anakin that just wants to be loved. I think even some of your biggest enemies, deep down inside, that enemy is a shell of a person that is hurt and broken inside. And God is saying, pray for them. They need me just as much as you need me. Pray that they will be blessed. That is hard. Pray that you can let go of the feelings you have on them. See, here's the thing. As Christians, this is something that should set us apart. You should be set apart in this way, that we actually go out of our way to pray for our enemies, to those that are doing harm and doing wrong to us. Praying for them, lifting them up, having a completely different attitude about this. That is what's going to set you apart as a Christian. That is what's going to make us different, because here's the thing that I've come to realize over my years of people that have hurt me, people that have disliked me and everything. When I really start praying for them, I realize I don't have any enemies. I have people that might not like me, but to me, they are never my enemies. Because when I start to pray for them, God gives me a heart for those people, and I start to feel broken and see the brokenness that they have, and I realize they are not my enemies. They are just people that even misunderstand themselves. How would you love to live a life without any enemies? It starts when you don't see them as enemies, but you see them as people that God is giving you an opportunity to pray for. So the big question is, who do you need to intercede for today? Who do you need to pray for today? Start with your family, by name every day. Pray for them. But who are those enemies in your life that you need to pray for? That you need to give to God? Because the amazing thing is, while God starts blessing them and changing them, he mirrors that in us. Who is it today that God is saying you need to intercede for these people? God, I pray that you would help us not to see a list of enemies, not to see people that are out to get us, but I pray with our family that we would start praying for them, that we would start seeing change happen in them, and that you would draw us closer, draw them to you, Father. And I pray when it comes to our enemies that we would start to put them before you, start to pray for them, start to pray your blessing over them, a transformation to happen in them, and in the same way you would transform us. We thank you and praise you in your name. Amen. All right, guys. Make sure you keep it tuned in this week. This is Easter week, for better or for worse. It is online for the most part. We are going to have videos posted every day of this week. We're going to have different contests throughout the week. And we're doing our sermon series a little differently this week. There'll be bits and pieces every night of the week leading up to the big messages on Wednesday and on Sunday. I love you guys. I'm here for you. You ever need to reach out to me, I'm a text, a phone call, an Instagram message away. So please don't hesitate. Love you guys, and I'm praying for you.